The missile launch window was closing. 90 seconds left. $3 million worth of computers had crashed. The commander's hand hovered over the abort button. That's when she picked up a 50-cent pencil and did something that would change military doctrine forever. This is the true story of how one woman with a battered notebook solved an impossible targeting problem in under 3 minutes, while an entire room of engineers with cutting-edge technology had failed for 6 hours straight. It's about what happens when everyone underestimates the quiet expert in the corner, and it's about to show you why sometimes the oldest tools are still the sharpest. Let me take you inside the classified briefing room. The screens painted the room in shifting blue light. 3 massive displays, each one showing a different piece of the same unsolvable puzzle. Screen 1. Wind layers twisting like invisible serpents from sea level to 50 meters altitude. Screen 2. Terrain elevation. Data that should have been simple, but somehow wasn't. Screen 3. Projected flight paths that refuse to converge. Lines crossing and recrossing like a child's scribble. The problem statement was brutally simple. A high-speed target was weaving between waypoints. Offshore, unpredictable, erratic, maneuvering with patterns that made no mathematical sense. The firing window would last exactly 87 seconds. After that, the target would be gone. But here's where it got nasty. Electromagnetic interference from coastal installations was scrambling the data. Radar returns were painting ghost targets, false positives that appeared and disappeared like mirages, and the simulation program, the one that cost more than most people's houses, had crashed 3 times. In the last hour alone, the conference table stretched 20 feet, surrounded by some of the brightest minds the military could recruit. Fresh graduates from MIT, Caltech, Stanford. Engineers whose resumes could fill encyclopedias, every single one of them staring at screens that refused to cooperate. And at the corner of that table sat a woman nobody was watching. Her navy jacket had honest wear, the kind that comes from crawling through maintenance hatches, not sitting in air-conditioned offices. Her notebook lay open in front of her, a composition book, the cheap kind you buy at drugstores. The spine was held together with electrical tape, yellow and gray, wrapped around multiple times like a bandage on a wounded soldier. Pages inside were yellowed, stained with coffee rings that marked late nights solving problems nobody else could crack. A young engineer with a fresh PhD and dual monitors noticed her. He leaned toward his colleague, his voice just loud enough to carry. Analog notebook in the digital age. What's she planning to do? Draw us a solution? Laughter rippled across the room. Not cruel, exactly. Just dismissive. The kind of chuckle that comes when you think you already know everything. The commander wasn't laughing. His jaw was tight. His government issue pen tapped against the metal desk with increasing tempo. Tap, tap, tap. Each strike a countdown to failure. We need a lead angle calculation, he said, his voice carrying an edge sharp enough to cut. Not a doctoral thesis, not a theoretical framework, a number we can use. Now, the simulation team huddled tighter, voices rising. Someone suggested switching to extended Kalman filters. Someone else argued for particle filters. The debate intensified while the server hung frozen at 73% completion, the progress bar mocking them with its stillness. Nobody asked the woman in the corner. Nobody approached her workstation. Nobody seemed to remember that she'd been solving targeting problems since before. Most of them were born. The war clock's second hand continued its relentless sweep towards 0 hour. T-minus 60 minutes. The countdown wasn't just numbers anymore. It was pressure, building like steam in a sealed chamber. Computer fans whirred louder. Voices climbed higher. Desperation started creeping into professional tones. That's when she spoke. Her voice wasn't loud. Didn't need to be. Give me surface wind vectors from 0 to 50 meters altitude, she said, with the calm of someone who knew exactly what she needed and why. And target lateral acceleration data for the last 5 seconds. A radar technician, curious about this unexpected request, handed her a slip of printed data. Raw numbers, unprocessed, the kind most people fed into computers without looking at twice. She looked at them like they were telling her a story. Without another word, she drew a simple triangle in her notebook margin. Then her pencil started moving. No fanfare, no explanation, just methodical precision, building a solution from principles that had governed ballistics long before computers existed to complicate them. Around her, the room continued its digital struggles. Keyboards clattered, mice clicked, frustrated sighs punctuated failed attempts. But in her corner, there was only the sound of graphite on paper. First, she split the target velocity vector into components, radial and tangential, the foundation. Then she corrected for sea drift, using a compensation factor she'd scribbled in that margin. Years ago, during an engagement of Korea, the number looked insignificant 0.3%. But at these distances, small errors compounded into mission failure. Next came radar lag compensation, the delay between where the target actually was and where the screen showed it. The crashed simulation had been treating this as a complex filtering problem, throwing algorithms at it like soldiers at a fortress wall. She treated it as what it actually was, a simple timing offset. One clean equation emerged from her calculations. Let angle theta equals arctangent of tangential velocity divided by projectile velocity plus wind correction. Elegant, simple, terrifying in its efficiency. She added a margin note in her characteristic neat handwriting. Don't chase the centroid. Let the acceleration, not the position. An engineer seated behind her stopped mid-sentence. His eyes caught the mathematics appearing on her page. The equations were shorter than the code his team had wrestled with all night, but somehow more complete, carrying authority that came from being tested in the field, not optimized in a lab. She looked up for the first time since starting. Give me flight time estimate at 12-meter altitude. Current weather conditions. The radar technician responded immediately, his voice carrying newfound respect. 86 seconds. She added 0.7 milliradians to her solution. Coriolis drift, a correction most people ignored at these ranges. One that could mean the difference between success and catastrophe when precision mattered. Finally, she addressed the room, her voice quiet but absolute. Forget position tracking algorithms. Lock onto the acceleration vector. Fire at theta plus epsilon. Epsilon equals 0.7 milliradian safety margin. The commander studied her notebook. Every assumption stated. Every correction explained. The final answer presented with estimated error less than half a milliradian. He looked at the frozen computer screen showing 73% progress. He looked at her handwritten solution. Weapons free, he announced. The missile cut through darkness like a surgeon's blade, precise, confident, guided by pencil calculations rather than supercomputer algorithms. The room held its breath. Radar operators leaned forward, watching screens that would tell them whether a 50-cent pencil could outperform $3 million of technology. Then the confirmation signal lit up their displays. Target eliminated. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full, heavy with the weight of every assumption that had just shattered, every dismissive chuckle that now tasted like ash, every smirk that had melted into stunned respect. The young engineer who'd made the joke approached her workstation, his swagger gone, replaced by the hesitant respect of someone whose certainty had been comprehensively demolished. Did you really add Coriolis correction by hand? He asked. She nodded matter-of-factly. At this latitude with current wind conditions, Coriolis effect shifts projectile trajectory enough to matter. Computers know the formula. They don't always know when to apply it. She flipped through other pages in her notebook. A treasure trove revealed itself. Sea-skimming engagement notes, atmospheric beam wander corrections, electromagnetic interference compensations, all handwritten in various inks. Some equations faded by time but still legible. Decades of wisdom no software could replicate. The commander, impressed but professional, decided to test her method. New scenario. Target executes a 30-degree hard turn at maximum G loading. How do you adjust? Without hesitation, she modified to parameters, redrew the geometric relationship. 20 seconds later, she handed him the updated firing solution. Complete, accurate, ready for immediate use. Meanwhile, the simulation program had finally rebooted. It was processing the same scenario through thousands of lines of code, multiple modules working in parallel. When it finally produced its answer several minutes later, it differed from her hand calculation by 0.4 of a milliradian, effectively identical. A low whistle escaped from the back of the room, genuine admiration replacing earlier dismissiveness. The engineer who'd mocked her leaned forward. Could I get a copy of that calculation process? She smiled faintly, tore a fresh sheet from her notebook, carefully rewrote her 5-step targeting process. 7 critical parameters, 1 fundamental equation, and a single line of advice. Chase the force vector, not the position shadow. No software installation required, no licensing fees, no compatibility issues, just mathematics that had worked reliably for generations. She closed her notebook with quiet deliberation. No dramatic announcements, no demands for credit, just the satisfied closure of someone who'd solved a problem using tools many had dismissed as obsolete. By morning, everything had changed. The training facility's main corridor displayed a new poster, targeting quick reference, card field application, her 5-step methodology, professionally formatted, preserving her original margin note in bold, led the acceleration vector, not the position estimate. Younger technicians started carrying mechanical pencils alongside their tablets. They jokingly called it the graphite protocol. The joke contained genuine respect. During daily operations briefing, the commander addressed the team. Last night's engagement succeeded, not because we lacked computational resources, but because we forgot the value of fundamental understanding applied with experience. No names mentioned. Everyone understood. Her worn notebook didn't become a museum piece. It returned to her canvas-filled bag, nestled beside the half-used eraser and stubby mechanical pencil. The dismissive whispers had vanished. When she entered briefing rooms now, chairs shifted naturally to accommodate her. Conversations paused for her input. A junior officer asked her privately, "Don't you think notebook calculations are outdated in the modern military?" Her response was patient. "Outdated methods don't concern me. Incorrect solutions do." Later, a colleague gave her a pristine new notebook. She accepted it with appreciation, but slipped it beneath her time-tested original. Tools gain value through use, not appearance. Weeks later, during advanced training, a cadet applied her formula before attempting the computer simulation. His hand-calculated solution achieved accuracy within 1.2 milliradians of perfect targeting parameters. He looked at her with the expression of someone who'd been handed a master key. Training instructors began incorporating her methodology into coursework, teaching both analog and digital approaches, ensuring future technicians understood fundamental principles, not just software procedures. The integration happened quietly, as good ideas often do in organizations that value results over recognition. She never raised her voice during technical discussions, never demanded credit, never promoted her methods over others. The respect she earned came not from what she said, but from the silence that followed when she demonstrated her capabilities. Her notebook remained her constant companion. Each page represented not just calculations, but accumulated wisdom, understanding that the most sophisticated tool was often the simplest one, applied with sufficient knowledge and experience. In a world obsessed with the latest technology, she'd proven something profound. That expertise isn't about having the fanciest tools. It's about understanding principles so deeply that you can apply them anywhere, with anything. That night in the briefing room, while million-dollar computers crashed and algorithms failed, a 50-cent pencil and decades of experience saved the mission. Not because old tools are better than new ones, but because in the hands of someone who truly understands their craft, any tool becomes unstoppable. The greatest warriors don't always carry the loudest weapons. Sometimes they carry quiet confidence, deep knowledge, and a battered notebook held together with tape. If this story resonated with you, if you believe that quiet competence still matters in a loud world, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to Silent Warriors. This channel is dedicated to stories of people who changed everything without making any noise about it, because the world needs to remember that the quietest person in the room might just be the most dangerous. I am Silent Warriors, and I'll see you in the next story.